Hi everybody, we are introducing a new segment today, so it's going to be called Watch Appreciation. And today I'm joined by a very good friend, as well as a very talented man in the watch industry, Mr. Carson Chan, who's also known as Watch Professor on Instagram. Carson, you've had a very illustrious history in the watch industry. Would you mind just introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. My name's Carson, and I am currently the Chief Advisor for the Fondation de la Haute Horlogerie, the FHH. So what I do is we do a lot of promoting the high-end watchmaking culture for the whole entire industry. The FHH is a non-profit organization, and we do a lot of educational things. So we actually offer classes at the local university, to watch clubs, to whoever who is interested in watches. So if you're interested in watches, pay attention to what's happening with the FHH. So yes, like I said, talking about watches, discussing about the technical stuff, that's my daily work. So I'm very happy that I get this opportunity here to share with everybody.
No, thanks for joining us. I mean, education is a big part of what we do here, certainly in clothing, but watches are kind of a passion of mine personally and many of our customers.
Right.
And to be able to have a reference like you on hand to talk about some cool stuff is always a pleasure. So today on the table, we have Carson's personal Chopard.
Well, yes. So looking at the Chopard QF Qualité Fleurie Jubilee edition, came out this year. I saw it. I was able to go to Shanghai for the Watches and Wonders event. I was able to see it in person, and I fell in love with it. This is a 39mm stainless steel watch. It's commemorating the introduction of the LUC movement.
Nice. And then next up, we have the Chopard Flying T. This was a collaboration between Chopard and Revolution Watch Magazine. So we're going to have a little closer look at that with Carson, just to hear his expert opinion on it. And then these two are from my own personal collection. So this is a Grand Seiko reissue for the 130th anniversary of Seiko as a company. And what I love about this is a very, very, very faithful reproduction of the original Grand Seiko from 1960, which is what is the next watch on camera. Alrighty, so shall we take these things to the macro bench and have a closer look?
Sure.
Thanks, man.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. Okay, so on the bench right now, we have two Grand Seikos. So this is the 3180. It's the Grand Seiko First. 3180 is actually not the official reference number for this piece, but it refers to the movement's reference number. And then next to it, we have the 130th anniversary reissue. This particular one is in platinum, because typically the steel one would have a blued hand, whereas the platinum one has a silvered hand. I love these two pieces because I just think they're some of the most beautiful and classic dress watches ever made. And what I especially love about this is that the reproduction of the original is so faithfully done. Like the cases are exactly the same diameter, the lug width, the lug length are the same, the lug widths are the same, but everything's been upgraded.
I absolutely agree with you. I love Grand Seiko. Their workmanship, it's the detail is so refined. I think a lot of people would agree. Many of the Swiss watch brands, very high up, might not even be as good as what Grand Seiko has done. Looking at the workmanship, the attention to details is part of the joy of owning a Grand Seiko.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing about like reissues, I think a really true test of like just how good it is would you prefer the vintage original or would you prefer the reissue? Because I would actually go as far as saying I would rather have my reissue than my original. That's how much I like the reissue.
Yeah, because it's you have the modern convenience, reliability, and such. Waterproof and all that. Obviously, if you have had the original since it's given to you by your grandfather or whatnot, that's different. That's a sentimental value, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, shall we have a look at something else?
Sure. So here we have the Chopard LUC QF Jubilee watch was introduced this year. And it's to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the LUC collection with the first QF certification in stainless steel. I love this watch because, as you can see, the dial, it's got this, sector dial with the blue, and it's very, very elegant. And what I love even more, the geek that I am, is the movement. Check out the micro rotor, and look at the thickness of it, right? So the watch is not, it's not thick at all, and it's got a double barrel, and it is 65 hours power reserve. So interesting fact about this watch is that not only is it a Qualité Fleurier, a QF, but it's also COSC, COSC certified. Chopard is I think the only brand that does double certification. Honestly, I don't remember any other brand that does double certification. So whoever's watching this, if you know of another brand, please comment and let me know.
Yeah, our commenters are often very knowledgeable, so I look forward to seeing a good response to that.
Yeah,
man, the blue is great though. The blue on that sector dial is a very distinct kind of ocean blue.
I want to say this is a dress watch, yet it's got luminosity, so it's very user friendly. I love that. I loved it because a lot of dress watch, you're in darkness, you can't tell the time. This is definitely one that I think I'm very lucky to been able to acquire this. So thank you, Chopard Hong Kong team. Next up, we have the Flying T. It's a Flying Tourbillon by Chopard, and it's a special edition done for Revolution. So take a look at it. Look at the dial. I love this attention to detail, that Kyoshe dial, and love the color too. As I was saying, this watch, I love it because, again, it's a double certification watch. Not only does it have the Geneva seal, which has strict requirement on how you manufacture, where you manufacture, what sort of a component do you use, what sort of level of finishing that you need to comply, but this also has the COSC, the COSC. So for those of you who are not aware, the COSC, the COSC is -4 to +6 seconds a day. So you need to be able to achieve that accuracy to be able to recognize by the COSC. Now, it's actually the reason why you have that pointer at the tourbillon cage, because you need to be able to see how accurate it is to get the COSC.
Yeah, it's part of the certification. That's right. Sure.
For me, a flying tourbillon on a wristwatch means that you appreciate the watchmaking history. You understand the challenge of making a tourbillon, and you understand the beauty, the amazing story behind how a tourbillon the concept came up. As many people know, the tourbillon was registered in 1801. And I'm not sure if you know this fun fact. From 1801 until 1986, I think roughly 185 years. Do you know how many tourbillon was produced?
I have no idea.
670.
Wow.
So not that many. Only 670 tourbillons. So it's a very prestigious, very exclusive complication on this.
Can we see this next to yours? Because these movements are basically cousins, right?
This Revolution Flying T Special Edition is 36.5 millimeter. I believe it is the smallest Chopard tourbillon. It could be for a men's watch.
I think it might actually have that honor. Yeah.
Yeah. So if viewers, if you know there are a small one, please comment, excluding ladies' watch. Yeah. The movement on the tourbillon is originally it was the 96.
Yeah, the 196.
1.96.
Yeah.
So yes, they are cousins. You could see the layout is very similar, and again, micro rotor. Double barrel, one stack on top of another. Not sure the tourbillon's power reserve, but as I said, the QF, the stainless steel one, is 65 hours.
See, something I really like about the tourbillon is I have this thing right now for oversized sub-seconds. Like oversized sub-seconds for some reason are just like really interesting to me. Lange does a really beautiful one, but most brands, especially since oftentimes brands are using older movements, tend to have like quite small subdials, and they're a little bit like trapped towards the center pinion rather than like filling up that gap between the center pinion and the edge of the case too. So it's cool to see the tourbillon basically act as like a big chunky center sub-seconds.
Interesting fact, I think if you're looking at a tourbillon watch, if you have a loop with you, most of the brands would put all their effort onto polishing the tourbillon cage. So if you have limited time, if you are, you're looking at a watch but you can't play with it for too long, and you can only, spend 1 minute looking at it, I would definitely get the loop and focus in on the tourbillon cage and admire the finishing. And many of these parts are done by hand. And maybe in the future we have an opportunity. I could share with everybody how do you tell if it's done by hand, or if it's done by machine, if it's done by machine tools.
That would be cool. Yeah, we should do that. That would be a fun segment.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, if anyone's keen to see that, please leave that in the comments as well so we can get Carson back on this segment. Well, Carson, thank you very much for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun. I definitely learned a lot. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts for us?
Well, first, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
I'm all about sharing. I think when you look at a watch and you share your thoughts or your views, you open up to new ideas on how to appreciate it. So watch appreciation is not just a one-way street. So many different ways to appreciate it. So the more I talk about it, I am actually learning while I'm sharing with you. So thank you for having me.
No, not at all. We'll hope to have you on again soon.
Thanks
for watching, guys.